Hello, 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 everyone. Hi. Thank you all for joining us today. Hello. So today we have an amazing day planned for you. My name is Amy and I'm going to be your host. So today we are joined by amazing Ellen Woodhouse, who will be talking with us about a very important topic. Every human voice is full of untapped potential. Every voice is unique. I'm hoping that more of you will be joining us, but before that, let us talk a little bit about Wevoi. I'm sure all of you already know a lot about Wevoi, but for those of you who do not know what Wevoi is, uh, Wevoi is a global platform where young speakers voice their ideas. So our team at Wevoi believes that everyone needs to have their voices heard because what you say matters. Wevoi is, again, an online speaking competition which allows young people aged 9 to 24 to speak their minds and change and make a change through their voice. Um, so uh, let me tell you first a little something um, about how to join Vivoi. If you are eager to inspire others, realize your potential, raise your voice, and share it with the others, then Vivoi is perfect for you. Who can participate in Vivoi? So we have 4 different age categories. As I already mentioned, we allow students from age 9 to 24 to join us. So in our first youngest group, we have youngster Voi, who are our participants aged 9 to 11. Our next group is junior Voi, which is people belonging in the age group from 12 to 14, followed by teen Voi, who belong in the age group 15 to 18, and then senior Voi, which is our oldest group, 19 to 24. So how does it work? So Vivoi has 2 national rounds, which help you qualify for our amazing global round. So what you need to do is record a video with the required topic and then submit it online. So video submission deadlines are on the screen right now. So for our first topic, which is in an ideal world, the deadline is 18 December 2020. So make sure to remember that. And for our second topic, which is also a lot of fun, My Voice Matters, the deadline is 5th March 2021. So guys, let us first watch a few videos from our winning participants from our last global rounds, just so you are able to see what Wevoi truly is.
Back in 2013, I remember standing in my school's green screen room and filming a session of our primary school student council news show. That certain session, we were talking about the future. We spoke about the upcoming expo, as well as what we thought the world would look like in the future. As you may have guessed, our visions were kind of weird, and we envisioned ourselves in flying cars in an intergalactic civilization with crazy technologies from holographic screens to robots in restaurants. Of course, not all of that is true. Then again, I was only in 2nd grade, and even back then, I knew that the future is always bright. Always. Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm Sophia Fagihi from Gems World Academy Dubai, and I'm in grade 8. I'll be speaking on the topic of the future is bright because I have always tried to be an optimist, optimistic about the present and future, especially the future. One main reason that the future is bright is technology. Major tech advancements such as machine learning and ultra-smart phones, as well as smaller ones like those new ocean cleanup robots we hear about every day, the very essence of our ever-changing world, are probably the main reasons why the future is bright. With professionals constantly working to create new inventions that make our lives easier, we are able to look forward to the bright history of technological advancement that lies ahead of us in the future. So I've cleared the ground for technology, but what else? Sure, new iPhones are cool, but why else is the future bright? Ladies and gentlemen, you and I are the main reason why the future is bright. People are the drivers of change, development, diversity, globalization, and growth. People support one another so that we can be, and hopefully continue being, the smartest, intelligent life in this universe that has been discovered until now. People on this planet stand up for another whenever they are not as happy as they should be. People like Malala Yousafzai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Michelle Obama, Elon Musk, and many more are the reasons why society is able to look forward to the future. The community of the human race is the main reason the future is bright. The future is bright because we are in it. Now, sadly, some of you might think in a pessimistic way and tell me, well, Sophia, look at COVID-19. None of us ever thought the future would be this dull. Actually, you're wrong. COVID-19 has had a lot of plus points too that make it bright, such as the environment finally healing after such a long time and the world uniting behind a single cause. So again, why is the future bright? The device you're using to listen to me, the lights around you, your individuality, our society, that's why. The future is bright because we are in it. The future is bright because technology is in it. I hope you're wearing sunglasses because the future is looking bright ahead. Thank you.
Hi, I'm David. I'm a high school student and I'm here to talk about inspiration and impression, just like all the others. But first, let me tell you a story. There was a boy, just an ordinary boy whose name is David, just like mine. A boy who wanted to be popular, to be the coolest kid in school, and everyone to like him. He was doing weird stuff in school. Just to get attention, he had unusual haircuts, he wore his pants sagging, sometimes even backwards. He didn't study and he got passing grades by copying from others and cheating on the test. After graduation, he found himself disappointed from his job, his body, and his life. He was working in Ecolab, spraying for cockroaches. He weighed 297 pounds and he had nothing. One night, when he went home, he turned on the TV. There was a show on about the Navy SEALs, and David was hooked on the idea of becoming a SEAL. That moment, he understood that he was living a lie. He understood that everything he did in life was to impress others, that this is what got him where he is now. A desire appeared in his heart, this moment, and he promised to himself that he will be different. He will do something different, and he will do it for himself, not for the others. He will do something meaningful. He called the local recruiter for Navy and asked him to be a part of training for the next class of Navy SEALs. He was told that he must lose 100 pounds in 3 months in order to join the program. This seemed impossible, but David trained hard every day, pushing himself to his absolute limits, and he cut his calorie intake in half. He put countless hours running and lifting weights, doing 300 to 400 reps at a time. He spent hours in the pool daily, overcoming his fear of water. David succeeded, but having lost 100 pounds, he was weak, heading into maybe the toughest training program in the world. He fell twice due to suffering injuries, but quitting was not an option for him. During his third attempt, after sustaining microfractures in his ankles, he rubbed them with duct tape to nail the agonizing pain, and he pushed through, becoming the first recruit ever to participate in 3 Navy training weeks in a single year. He graduated with full honors and went to have a successful career in military. Not only that, he became a marathon runner and broke the Guinness World Record for most pull-ups in 24 hours. His name is David Goggins, the man who did the impossible. He's famous for his book, which inspired millions of people, and I'm one of them. From a kid who tried to impress others, I became one of the most successful students in our school, and these are some of my results of this and the previous year. Guys, don't do anything to please others. This will not make you happy, and this is not the right way of doing things. This is the easy way, And this can only lead you to disappointment. Do what is meaningful. Something that others are too scared to do. Do something that people around you will get inspired. Because we were born to inspire, not to impress.
I've been reading your comments and I see that you all agree that it is amazing. Both of our speakers did really, really well. And I'm sure all of you can do equally well. So that is the reason why we organized Wevoi, to make sure that you know that your voice is important and that there is a place where it can be heard. So joining us today is Alan. He will be helping you to realize just how unique your voice is and how important it is. But let me tell you a little something about Alan before he starts talking and teaching you on how to improve your skills. So Alan trained at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London. He worked as an opera singer, performed in music theatre and in plays in London West End and throughout the UK. He trained as a voice coach at the Central School of Speech and Drama, also in London, and he now works as a voice and acting coach. Very, very impressive. He runs a private consultancy focusing on voice and presentation and performance training. So guys, you are in for an amazing lesson. We are very honored to have you here. Alan, hello.
Hello.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here.
We are very excited to have you. Have I forgotten anything in the introduction? You've had
No.
such an amazing career. It's impossible to
what
say
you said
all.
was perfect. Thank you very much. I'm honored.
Okay, so Alan, we are ready to hear everything you have to teach us. I am personally ready. I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to learn. I know there is a lot that I could improve on. So please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. You might have to stop me. I'm very bad at being on time. So feel free to come in. I shall try.
Don't worry about it.
I'm
Don't
watching
worry about it.
my clock. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here to join with us on this day. I thought it would be useful as a starter to talk about what is a voice coach, what does a voice coach do. Obviously there are different types of voice coaching. Although I trained as a singer, the vast majority of my work is about speech voice, or focuses mainly into speech voice. So what does the voice coach do? We have people, I'm sure many of you have will recognize this one. You listen to your own voice, you hear a recording of your own voice, and you think, oh goodness, I have the worst voice in the world. Believe me, it happens to all of us at some point. It is a lie. There is no such thing as a bad voice. Physiologically, two vocal cords, those little muscles in our voice box that vibrate and make sound, you don't get bad ones. And we are, as Amy was saying, we are all unique. We have a unique voice, but we can use that voice in an amazing number of different ways. And part of my job is to, yes, help people to like their own voice, because if we start to speak, to make a voiced sound of any sort, singing sound, and we think, oh, that sound is not good, that sound is really not worth listening to, then it's obviously not a good position to be in. So yes, first off, I want to help people to like their voice, to work with their voice so that they get confidence with it. What are their problems? The problems can be that they feel their voice doesn't project very well, that it stays stuck inside their body and feels small and doesn't feel very interesting. It can feel, many people say, I have a monotone voice, or even people say, horrid people say, I speak in a monotone. Do you know, that's really impossible unless you're a Dalek, unless you're a robot. To really be on monotone, you would have to be speaking like that. So I'm presuming most of you probably don't. Monochrome is an idea. I use a single color. And I think, again, probably we've all been in the position, especially if we're feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit concerned about are the words going to come out properly. We hear ourselves perhaps just sitting around the same note, and we start to think, oh my goodness, I thought I was saying something really quite interesting, but even I don't find it very interesting now, and I'm sure nobody else is going to want to listen. The third thing on the list is usually clarity. And people, again, very often, they accuse themselves. I often say, who has said this? Did someone say this to you? Who said it? Are you saying it to yourself? I mumble. I mumble, especially when I feel a bit nervous or I'm tired. I mumble, and perhaps we all mumble. So they're the three things, the voice projecting to have color and to have some kind of clarity. And okay, who am I working with? What kind of situations? Well, all types of situation. There's probably barely any type of job, any type of occupation that I haven't worked with. I worked with a magician once. He was literally, he had to say abracadabra for his work, and the words got stuck in his throat. I mean, quite simple things. I've worked with a hypnotist, I've worked with a hairdresser, lots of different kinds of jobs. And again, every now and then I meet this idea, oh, I didn't know there was someone out there like you, for someone like me. I thought a voice coach was for people who had either a problem, a real voice problem, a medical problem perhaps, or for actors. No, voice coaching is for everybody in different ways. It is able to help. So I'm going to take you into some exercises. I hope you're going to be able to join in. I shall keep moving about a little bit, getting up even. I'm not sure, you might lose parts of my body. So why do we sound like we do? Think of it, the voice is mainly about movement. Everything has to move. First off with your breathing muscles. You've got breathing muscles in your stomach area, breathing muscles in your ribcage area, and if those muscles get stuck, then your voice is going to, well, it's going to feel different. It's going to feel like it's closed in. So I'm talking to you, my stomach is moving quite freely, my ribcage is moving quite freely. I'm going to tighten my stomach up, and I hope you can hear the change in the sound. I'm not putting on a voice, I'm just literally my muscles, the muscles in my stomach, my tummy area, I've got locked up, and the voice will change. Now, I might be talking and I might hear the sound change like that, and I might think, oh my goodness, I'm losing my voice. Something's wrong with my voice. No, it's not. Nothing's wrong with your voice. It's just that your breathing muscles have got a little bit stuck, and therefore what we need to do is get them moving. The same thing would happen if the muscles around the rib cage started to freeze up, to tighten. I'm talking to you with them moving freely. I'm now tightening them up, and can you hear again, the sound is going to change. So think about it. Yes, you are unique, your sound is unique, but in many ways, probably perhaps we should be saying we have lots of sounds, we have lots of voices. We usually are taught, the textbooks tell us, to have at least 18 to 20 notes in our voice. So we have an upper part of our voice, and we have a middle part of our voice, and we have a lower part of our voice. And the idea is probably, on the whole, most people only use about a quarter of that, which is probably a bit of a shame. You know, we've got all those notes. We can speak high, we can speak in the middle, we can speak in the lower part of our voice. And that will add color to whatever we're saying. We want to color in the images. We feel passionately about something. We want to get our ideas, our thoughts across. And yeah, we'd like to feel that the energy that is inside us, in our hearts and our souls, is actually coming through in the voice. And that's part of what a voice coach is doing. So I'm moving back a little bit. I'm getting up. I'm not sure how much, again, you're going to always see about me. If you can, lift your arms in the air. Lift your arms in the air, interlace your fingers, and turn your palms towards the ceiling. You're going to have a little stretch, especially we all sit at computers so much, which we need to do, and it's brilliant, but our bodies get a bit tight. So it's good to stretch out. Lift your elbow up. Lift the elbow. As the elbow lifts up, you're going to stretch all the way down that side. So just lift it up and lift it up and lift it up and feel that stretch. And then on the other side, you're going to stretch it and stretch it and stretch it. And even that, we've been doing, what, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds. Let the arms come down. Hopefully you feel that you've freed up some of those muscles in the rib cage area, your breathing muscles. Another good thing to do is to shake. not shake through fear, but just loosening the muscles around the shoulders. We can shake the hands. We should shake one hand. We should shake a second hand. We could shake from our elbow, another elbow, and then the whole arm. And if you're shaking with me, again, 30 seconds worth, as the arms go down by your side, hopefully you can feel a bit of tingling, energy flowing. I think we get afraid when we feel our body is beginning to seize up, everything is closing in, and we want to get our ideas across. So if we feel that energy going all the way through to the fingertips, and also if we're standing up all the way through to our feet, the feet should feel quite soft and heavy. If they feel quite light, it's like the energy is pulling upwards, and you want to get quite a good low center of gravity. So that's just the beginning of trying to free up your body. And one of the very best, I think, breathing exercises, obviously there are lots of different ways of doing this, but this is one that I think is very, very simple and works very, very well. You are breathing. Believe me, I get people worried about their voice, and I say, are you doing some exercises? They say, oh yes, I'm trying to breathe. And I really do have to say, please don't try to breathe. You are breathing. We just want you to breathe better. So trying to breathe, trying to relax is also perhaps not a very good idea, because relaxing is about not trying. So if you were trying to relax, you'd be trying not to try. Yes? When people ask us to do that, please try and relax, they're usually being kind, but a good breathing exercise, I promise you, is one of the best ways you're going to find relaxation. And this one is a kind of meditation. It's often referred to as watching your breath. So I'm speaking. Most of the sounds of most European languages are made as we breathe out. So if I'm speaking, I'm breathing out. There are no two ways about it. And all I need to do is just almost imagine I'm watching that breath. I'm watching it go out in front of me. I'm watching it go. I'm watching it go. I'm watching it go. And then at a certain point, my body will want to, it's emptied out. It will want to refill. Emptying and filling is quite a good image. I've emptied out and the body will want to fill up. So I can imagine the new breath coming towards me. So hopefully it can be quite calming. You can imagine this very, 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 very calm line of breath going out. And if you focus on your stomach muscles as you breathe out, you'll feel them begin to tighten up a little bit, which is what is meant to happen. Then when the new breath comes in, they'll stretch open. Okay, so we're dealing with bodies getting stuck. What else gets stuck? Mouths get stuck. And if that mouth gets stuck, I'm exaggerating like mad, it's difficult. You're probably finding it more difficult to understand what I'm saying. A good way to do this, I usually refer to this exercise as playing at horses. It does have a posh term, a lip trill, but playing at horses does it. You just blow the lips out. Now, if you're finding yourself what we usually call blowing a raspberry, your lips are too tight. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just your lips are too tight together. They need to be together, but not too firmly together. And also, you need quite a lot of breath. So you might imagine that you're going to breathe in first and let that breath go. That's a breathy horse. We can also have a singing horse. It's one of the only exercises that I know that both actors and singers do. They mostly have their own little sets of exercise that they feel, work to train their voice, to coach their voice, to warm it up, work it out. But actors and singers do the breathy horse and the singing horse. That's a downward glide. Voices like to glide. They like to glide up and down. Singing is a great way to warm up your vocal muscles. Again, often when I say this to my clients, they say, oh, if you heard my voice, you would not encourage me to sing. So I say, well, let's be honest, we're not trying to get you a recording contract, not yet. It's just an exercise. So next time you're in the bath, you're in the shower, you can warm up in a very simple way, warm up those vocal muscles by just allowing yourself to have a sing. One last little exercise, humming. Could be part of your singing. The hum is made with the lips together. If you put one finger, if you're going to hum, put one finger against your lips. You might feel a little buzz there, a little vibration. You could do one of your little downward glides, or an upward glide. And if you feel that buzz around the lips, it means that the sound is lively, it's focusing, it's ready to project, it's not getting stuck in your throat. So all the ideas, the brilliant things that you want to project are going to come out, and they're going to come through your voice. Okay, dealing now with prepping ideas for whatever situation you're in where you need to speak. Now, obviously, we're going to think through ideas. Ideas are going to go through our head. Absolutely right. The next stage, we might quite logically say, well, I'll write something down, I'll type something out, which is not a bad idea, but, and there is a but, don't take too long before you start to speak some of the ideas. The way we speak an idea, the words that we use, even the order of the words that we use can be different to the way we would write it out. It's just because it's a different kind of medium. And therefore, often if we've just been writing the words and thinking the words and then we come to speak them, it's quite usual for people to think, oh, that word looked really good on the page, in my head, it really worked well. But as I say it, it doesn't quite say what I want to say with my speech, with my presentation, with my message. It doesn't quite get it right. And that is not unusual. So bringing yourself into the speech, and it brings you into another good exercise. Articulation exercises, almost ironically, are almost better done silently, because what you are exercising are the lips and the tongue. When we hear our voice, we tend to listen to the voice. Do we like it? Is it loud enough, soft enough, high enough, low enough? And we might not pick up on the shaping of the voice, the shaping of the sounds, which is done by the lips and the tongue, and the teeth come into the mix as well. So you can start to play with some ideas for whatever situation you're going into where you need to speak, and do an articulation exercise at the same time. Also, a major thing, obviously, when we're thinking, ideas go through our heads so quickly, and we read quite quickly. We talk sometimes about skim reading, which means we pick up the ideas that are most important to us and don't bother too much about the others. But obviously, we can't skim speak. We either do or we don't. So when we've had ideas running through our head so quickly, and then we come to speak, it can feel like it takes an awful lot of time to actually get the words out. And that can feel a bit worrying, a bit irritating. We feel we're not going fast enough, that no one will stay with us. But we have to get used to that speaking, as I usually put it, in real time. Our lips need to work, our tongue needs to work. We need to take time to breathe. And all of those things can come together as part of this preparation. Now, I'm going to take you into one or two other ideas. We've talked about singing. Another good way to do some practice is to find those laughing muscles. We talk about having a belly laugh when the muscles in the stomach begin to vibrate. I would use it if someone needed to shout or scream on stage, because if you're doing it, you're in a play and you're doing it 8 times a week in the West End of London or wherever, if your muscles in your stomach are tightened up just at the moment you're going, it can really do some, well, it doesn't feel very good, and it might do some damage to your throat. So you might have to do a technical exercise to get your stomach muscles doing a little laugh, a little belly laugh. You could tell yourself a silly joke. One of the students I used to work with, every week, she said, oh, tell me the joke. It was the worst joke on the earth, really. My dog's got no nose. How does he smell? Awful. I mean, it is a pathetic, please don't even try to laugh. Don't even think that it deserves even a smile, really. But for this student, you see, I was being the good teacher. The student needed a joke. So that's what we gave her. I'm sure you could find something much better, something that amuses you and get those muscles working for you. So, you've got a working head. You've thought about where your thoughts are going, towards what kind of presentation, what kind of message you want to deliver. You structured something, you've written something, but we need to get the body involved. And one fine idea, sometimes just simply, it obviously depends on the kind of event that you're working towards, that you're preparing for. It might be an interview, it might be a presentation, it might just be you're in a meeting with someone and you've got to improvise through some ideas rather than giving a formal scripted presentation. But you somehow do want to, prepare yourself. Think about what I always refer to as the other, the person in the audience. Think, if I was the person in the audience and somebody was standing, sitting, whatever, ready to speak to me, what would I like them to do? Well, again, I'm working it in a very simplistic way, just a way to get you started. You might think, well, the person's there, I might quite like this person to smile at me, I might like them to greet me, to say hello, to say good morning, to say hi. I don't really mind what the words are, but I'd like a greeting. I might like them to introduce themselves. I might like them to thank me for coming or thank me for inviting them to come. So I could think, okay, I'm the person actually delivering the message, but I'm intuiting, I'm imagining this person in the audience, and I'm thinking, if I was there, I would want someone. Actors use this term, this idea of we make someone an offer. When we say hello to someone, we make them an offer. We offer them part of ourselves. When we say thank you, when we say this is what my name is, and it's often, almost ironically, one of the things that people have difficulties with, just saying their own name, getting their own name out, right? It should feel slightly strange that we need to practice it, but those first moments of any kind of event, perhaps they're the most important ones, yeah? So we're going to do this one last exercise. I'm going to get up, yeah? Hopefully you can do this with me. Lift your arms up and think, as you lift your arms up, some breath is coming into your body. As the arms go down, just blow the breath away. And more breath will come in as your arms float back up, and blow it away. And then you're going to make a little circle with your arm. A little circle with one arm, and then a circle with the other arm. And you could have both arms circling around. And this is a brilliant way to practice some of your speech. It is impossible to breathe badly when you're making circles. So you might say, smile, hello, my name's Alan. I'm so pleased to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me. And then let the arms come down and go through the same thing again. Smile, hello, my name's Alan. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm going to sit down now. That's the end. So I'm handing back to you, Amy, yeah?
Sorry, I could not unmute myself. That was incredible. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I did all the exercises.
I saw you.
I've heard of some of them, but of most of them I have never heard. But I will certainly start practicing all of them now, because I do a lot of presenting, but I don't see much of improvement. So I do believe this will be very helpful. Let us see what our participants think. Guys, do you have any questions? Is there anything particular you would like to ask? Anything that you would like to work on? Anything that you think Mr. Allen could help you with? So Maheen says, no, thank you. This was great.
Good.
So Natasha says, amazing. It is a great speech. I really enjoyed it. I am guessing everyone is left speechless. Okay, okay. We have one question. Thank you. So question comes from Malsena. She is asking, what is more important, content or delivery?
Ooh, oh, that's a difficult question.
Yeah, right.
It is. It's a very, very good question. Part of me wants to say the two of them equal. I think perhaps the content, if I had to come down on one side rather than the other, I think I'd say the content, because we've got to have something to say. We've got to have, it happens sometimes to people who train in a technique like a singing technique. They get a brilliant technique, but they perhaps don't feel that there is growth in how they want to use their voice and what kind of songs they want to sing, how they want to engage their personality. And so one might think, well, you know, I want to engage with someone who wants to speak to me, who wants to communicate with me, who has something to say. If their technique is not totally brilliant, I think I would, if forgive is the right word, I think I would understand. I think the two things go together, but have your message, want to speak your heart.
Definitely. We have so many more questions. Let us try getting through them. So Ida says, how do I overcome a tendency to say and
Okay, again, good question.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. It really does happen to everybody. I think the thing to practice, and I think it needs practice, is taking some of a speech, something that you're preparing, or a speech that you've done, and allowing yourself, perhaps looking through it, if you've got the notes, they've got some of the text written out, and noting perhaps you did it and there were points where you felt you were most likely, or you remember that you did go or ah, and speak it through again and dare yourself to be silent. Silence is very frightening. We all get frightened with silence, but it's something I say to clients a lot, a very basic idea. Just because someone asks a question quickly doesn't mean you have to answer quickly. The person asking the question has their reasons and their rhythms. You have yours. So daring to play with silence is a really good thing, but it needs practice, because we come to the point we think, well, I'm not quite sure where I want to go next. I'm not quite sure the next word that I want to speak, but I must make some kind of sound, and that's where the usually come in. But once you've got some practice in and you're used to the idea, I can come to a stop. Pardon me. Another idea I use an awful lot is the idea of digestion. We're giving somebody some ideas. If they're very simple ideas, might be like giving them a spoonful of soup. They'll digest it quite quickly. If we're giving them something that's a little bit more complicated, like using the food image, something, a piece of meat or whatever they've got to cut into and then they've got to chew, then I might need to leave them for a few moments. It said, I've given you something. I need to recover. I need to get my breath and prepare for what I want to say next. You need to take a moment to digest what I've told you. So this sense of movement, I think sometimes we think, I've said something, I need to keep on speaking, I need to keep on speaking. And I think that can be a mistake. If we're saying something that has depth to it, and I hope we are, then people need a moment to digest it. Another way of looking at the same image, if we had like a sum to do, if I said to you, add 1 and 1, then I sort of hope you'll come to the conclusion that the answer is 2 quite quickly. So I don't need to leave you very long. But if I said, would you divide 381 by 42? Now, if somebody asked me that, I'd say, fine, hang on a minute, 382. I would have to think about it. I think I could probably do it, but I don't need someone to give me the answer. But if I'm going to find the answer myself, I need time. So this sense of a rhythm, and that silence is part of that rhythm.
True. Thank you so much. I always thought of and which I use continuously, is a thing that happens when I do not have a prepared speech mostly, whereas something where I have to speak on spot. That's where and it's like information is loading, but I'm not capable of delivering them in a way I wish to. Yeah.
We rush ourselves. We need to honor ourselves. We need to respect ourselves, because if we don't, there is always the chance that other people will not honor and respect us so much. It takes time to breathe. It takes time to prepare sounds. It takes time to think. So give yourself time.
Exactly. Thank you. So we have Edward from Indonesia who would like to ask you something himself. Edward, if you can please unmute yourself.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, Amy.
you're very welcome.
Actually, I'm from eastern part of Indonesia, and the signal is not that good, so I cannot on my video. But I'm very happy to be here. Actually, I'm a teacher from Indonesia, and I have a question for Alan. I don't know if it's related to what he's doing tonight, but I have found many students as well as many people when they speak, they have kind of so-called pause. The R, the O, the U, or probably from the US, maybe Americans putting some kind of or and then and stop and continue and then or how do you have any suggestion how to eliminate maybe slowly, and is there any technique that you can suggest to all of us how to resolve the issues?
I want to be sure, Edward, that I'm understanding you, but putting in extra phrases like, extra words that don't seem particularly necessary. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, you kind of like the flow of your speech is not smooth just because you kind of say, and then you put some kind of maybe could be nervous, but once you do a long speech, then it becomes a sort of annoyance to the audience, probably.
I think it's right. I mean, I think it relates to the last question, that part of it is trust. Part of it is trust that we've said what we need to say, that our message has been phrased in a way that can be understood. And I think we're back to honoring and respecting ourselves, that sometimes rather than repeating what we've just said again or adding some extra words, it would be good just to wait a moment to see how someone can respond to us, hoping that they picked up our message. And if they haven't understood, they haven't received the message, it hasn't got through as clearly, that they can say, I'm sorry, can you tell me a little bit more about that, or can you add something to that? I think it's a craft. Speaking is a craft, and it needs lots of practice. And that's why I was saying earlier that the idea of speaking the words, I think often we think we've got to prepare the words on a page, on a computer screen, whatever, before, and we perhaps think that the way actors work, that they read the play and they have to or the script, the film script, whatever it is, and that they have to really understand what the film script, the play script is all about before they're allowed to open their mouth. Believe me, it doesn't work like this. It's often not until you've actually spoken some of the words that they really have a full meaning to you. So I think there is a lot of practice in what is my message. I sometimes use the idea, it's an exercise we do with acting students. Can you speak your message in 20 words? Now can you speak your message in 15 words? Now can you speak your message in 10 words? It depends how big the message is, obviously, but it's quite a good idea to say, can I narrow down what exactly I want to say, and can I cut the amount of words that I feel I need to use to make that message clear. And it is, we need a lot of respect for ourselves. We need to practice our craft, but these things are not easy. Am I giving you some answer to your question, Edward?
Okay, thank you, Alan. I think it's quite helpful, and thank you, Amy, for giving me the chance to ask question. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, so our next question comes from Manuela. She is asking, is there a way to overcome stage fright when talking in front of a large audience?
I think probably the basic answer is no. I mean, it would be nice to say yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Believe me, I worked as a singer, I worked as an actor. The thing, I mean, it sounds like a joke, but this is the absolute truth. The thing you hear just before an actor goes onto the stage, when you're backstage and they're just about to go onto stage, the phrase you hear most is, why do we do this? Why do we put ourselves through this? The basic fact is that, joking apart, that we are there and in front of an audience and we don't know what's going to happen. There are no guarantees. It all worked fine in the rehearsal. It all worked fine when we were all cool and calm and not excited, but we don't know it. But believe me, again, I've been there and I've done it, and I've got my own stories to tell, that any actor, if you caught them on the right day, would say every performance something goes wrong. Luckily, hopefully, mostly only you noticed it, but you noticed it. And one of the biggest thing I think, working with people to help their craft, to build their technique, one of the things, the very simple things, but it's not easy, that you need to try and teach them, is to say, let something go. It happened. I have a story, and this is absolute truth, and I have no idea whether this is true or not. I was working in the West End of London a long time ago, in the West End of London. I was playing understudying a lead part, but I had to be part of the stage management team. And part of my job was to give what are called the bar calls. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats? The performance will continue in 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. One night I'd been rushing around doing other things and then rushing to do the bar calls. And one of the other stage management team called me over and he said, "You know what you just said?" And I said, "What?" He said, "You know what you just said?" I said, I don't know what you mean." He said, "You said the performance will continue in 2 months." I said, "No, I didn't. I said 2 minutes." He said, "No, you didn't. You said the performance will continue." Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats? The performance will continue in 2 months. Then you wonder, now, do I go back onto the microphone and say, "Hello, is there anybody there?" Because if you think that the performance is not going to continue until 2 months, they've probably all gone home. If there's anybody there, I'm awfully sorry. When I said 2 months, I meant to say 2 minutes. I think he was joking with me, but believe me, this is probably 20 years ago. I still do not know. Once somebody puts it into our mind, you did something wrong, you didn't do it the way it ought to have been done. And I'm joking about that because obviously I wasn't on stage. I was back, thank goodness I was backstage. But any performer would tell you, there is that. I felt it today. I'm excited to be here and I've done a lot of speaking, but I wanted it to go well. I wanted people to like it. I wanted people to like me. I mean, we're all human beings, so there is also always that pressure, also the excitement, but a pressure to do it right, to get it right. But tell yourself back to some of the things I've already said at the beginning of, if you're writing the speech, you're preparing the material, do yourself a favor, choose short phrases, because what we tend to do, again, I've been talking to my business clients, I say, if you've got hello, good morning, thank you for coming, my name is, my job title is, I'm going to talk about whatever, the price of cheese. That is 6 things, not 1 thing. Because I think when we begin to think, hello everybody, thank you for coming, my name's Alan, and then we've exhausted ourselves. Think about the idea of offering something. Just smile, hello. It obviously relates to the context. This is my name, this is a job title, this is why I'm here, this is what I want to speak about. So you make an offering and then you prepare for the next thing that you need to say, rather than needing everything to spell out, and you're more likely to get yourself in a more nervous state. But all of these things, I've been doing it in one way or another a long time. One could tell oneself, one ought to know better, One shouldn't get so concerned, but we care, and that's why we feel. Hope I've answered the question with lots of...
Exactly. I believe you have. Okay, so we have another one coming from Faruk. He says, is there a technique you would recommend to improve improvisation when making a speech? How to sound more confident and be more confident when speaking in general?
I think all the things we've said,
Exactly,
the physical body, if we are rushing, if we are trying to speak probably too many words, more words than our breath is our core energy. If the breath runs out, if we are getting close to the end of the breath, it obviously becomes weaker, our strength becomes weaker, and our voice is going to sound weaker. And that is also something, when we begin to hear our voice or feel our voice tightening up, all the things I was doing earlier, then we start to worry. So part of what I said, do yourself a favor, choose short sentences, short phrases, for not all the time, but especially at the beginning until you get settled. I work with people doing interviews, interviews for universities, sometimes interviews for jobs, and sometimes people are asked to do formal presentations. Sometimes it's like, we'd like to talk about your work so far, how you see yourself in 5 years' time, the kind of work you're wanting to focus on in this next stage of your career, whatever. And you don't know exactly what the questions are, but you have to intuit as much as possible what those questions might be. Again, playing the other, thinking, well, if I was in the other chair, if I was asking the questions, not doing the answering, what would I ask of this person? Why do you want to work in this area? Why are you interested in this company? How did you enjoy the work you've just been doing? Where do you see yourself in however many years time? I think it can be harder work, and it can take more time perhaps to do that preparation than if you had a more formal presentation to do, because you've got to really look into as many different areas as possible. But I think being prepared is the main thing, and also thinking what are the main ideas that you want to put forward about why you want to come into this job area, where you want to be, and thinking, well, at certain points, if the people you're speaking to want to hear more, they will ask you some questions. Give them some of the main points, and then leave a space for them to say, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, thank you. So we have, I think, a very interesting question now. So any tips on making a speech more interesting? Sometimes I try to add cool facts or even a joke, but end up messing up the powerful delivery or comedic timing.
I think jokes are difficult because we always say that comedy, or put it the other way, tragedy travels better than comedy. Tragedy travels from country to country and age to age, probably more easier than comedy. I've worked a lot on Shakespeare's plays, and Shakespeare's comedies are so difficult because you think, my goodness, was that really funny 400 years ago? Because certainly it doesn't really seem to be funny now. So I think one has to tread very, very carefully with jokes. I think that a personal touch, I think we like to know about people. We like to know something. I always think about the actor Michael Caine, who used to do a lot of speaking, and he had this little saying. Before he said something, he'd say, now, not a lot of people know this. I mean, he was talking to 1 million people, but because he was such a good speaker, each one of them was meant to think, I'm telling you a secret. We all love the idea of being told a secret. So to be told, not a lot of people know this, what I'm just going to say, oh, I wasn't saying, what is it? Then I know this great secret. I wrote in my book sort of ideas about, I've worked quite a lot with people who, are in quite high positions, high job positions, and they take over a new department, or they come into a new actual job area, and they want to talk to their staff or I've worked with people in the army, they have taken over a new company and they want to talk to their company and tell them something about themselves. And I think the truth is there are some things about ourselves that we are happy telling, and some things that we're not. And I encourage people in my book, I said, be good ideas, write a little list about, of things that you wouldn't mind other people knowing. I always wear green socks on a Friday. I really hate baked beans. Things that really don't matter. Do you know? Who cares whether you wear green socks or blue socks or orange socks? But you know, it's on one level I'm joking, because perhaps it would be good if there was something a little bit more sort of personal than that. But I think another image, especially during the summer in better years than this, I work quite often on wedding speeches. I love working on wedding speeches. I often end up writing the speech because they're so personal. It's obviously such an important day. But I had a father of the bride once, and he was such a nervous speaker. And he said, you know, I will be much better. It'd be much better if I was in a different room. Can I be in a different room from the congregation and the sort of video? I said, no, I don't think so. I think, you know, you need to be in the space with your daughter. Oh, goodness. Could somebody else do the speech? You know, I'll write the speech, but I said, well, no, because it's your speech and it's your daughter, and the words are most meaningful because you're speaking. I think he was joking with me in a sense, but he was, you know, part of him wanted to get out of it, but, you know, his daughter was getting married and he loved his daughter, and therefore he was going forward with it. But I think that's it, you see. Some words only mean something really deeply when they, you know, are within particular circumstances. And so therefore it's us telling a story. It's us relating something that happened. It's not some, you know, it might be a story that a lot of different people could tell. They've experienced aspects of it, they've read about it in the newspapers or whatever it is. But when we tell the story, we tell it from our angle in the sense of what's most important to us.
I'm very happy that you mentioned about your books. Many of our members of the audience today were asking several questions about you being an author and books that you've written. So can you tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, there's only one published.
Okay.
Before we went into lockdown, other things were happening, but for the moment, everything, like in many areas of life, has come to a bit of a standstill. So there's just the one book, Confident Speaking, and I'm finding a copy of it. Let Your Voice Be Heard is what this is, the second edition of it, and the title was slightly changed. It's, as it says, a practical guide to confident speaking. Let your voice be heard. So it's available Amazon, online. It's an ebook or a paperback, and not very, very expensive, I have to say.
Guys, be sure to get it. I am sure that I'm going to be buying it because today's session was incredible. I've learned so much, Ellen, and I'm sure everyone else has learned a lot. And I'm sure we're going to be using these lessons while speaking in the future. But that is that for our time today. Thank you so much. It was incredible, and it was an honor to have you here.
I've enjoyed myself so much. Thank you. And thank all of you who've been listening.
Thank you so much. And for the end, guys, let me remind you to register for Wevoi and to let your voice be heard. Visit our website and let us hear your voice. Thank you, everyone, yet again for joining us today, for listening to Alan, and make sure to practice public speaking and to share your ideas with the world with Wevoi. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.